What's going on, everyone? It's your favorite host and Jillisator Apoc, and welcome back to the channel. Right, Paige?
Yeah.
Paige. A lot of people have speculated as to why Keren unfollowed Kyra on Instagram, or why they're not friends anymore. Even though I do have a 2-part series. Actually, it's probably going to end up being like a 3 to 5-part series by the time we're done with it on why they're not friends and this and that. But like I said, people are speculating as to why, and that's based around some insensitive comments, so-called insensitive comments that Kyra has said about miscarriages, which after reading them, they're really not all that insensitive because she's basing this off of how she feels as somebody who has experienced loss multiple times.
We read the comment, or because it was a story. We read it and we had it saved for a while. She was talking about her own experience as well. She even says it in it, but I wasn't even like putting 2 and 2 together that she was talking about her own experience. If you actually read it and pay attention to what she's saying, she's talking about what she feels, how she felt, how she feels, and she has every right to feel that way.
And that's valid, right?
And it, regardless of whatever, though, she's allowed to feel that way.
But that's valid, right?
Yes.
So when Keren does this whole thing about how her feelings are valid, it's so funny because people like her and other people are so quick to jump to invalidating Kyra's experiences and how she feels in her opinion and this and that. You can say whatever you want about Kyra because there's a lot to say about that chick. But when it comes to this is how she feels about her own experience and her own loss.
And also, rarely anybody, and I will say rarely anybody because I know there was people who do believe that Keren had miscarriages and they were saying insensitive comments. I do believe that. But rarely anybody was invalidating Keren's feelings. But regardless of that fact, Keren didn't have any feelings because she didn't have any miscarriages.
I believe that I may have had a hand in Kyra and Keren's friendship from flopping, and maybe not the full hand, but I definitely think there's something there, and maybe I should make a video on that in general, explaining it more deeper.
I think there's a lot of things involved.
Of course there's a lot of things. I'm not taking full credit for that one because obviously, I mean, we're talking about Keren here. Let's go, you know? Like, there's plenty of things outside of me that would ruin a friendship between them. But as you all saw, Kyra has called my channel factual and that she's liked my channel and this and that. That she likes all of my videos except for the ones about her that she doesn't watch those because she knows that they're going to be truthful. That's what she said. But when I crashed her live on her BTS podcast, I said the Keren videos be fire and she repeated it and didn't deny it. She just read it out.
The question was, would you ever share about your miscarriage? And then she said, I don't know, to be honest. I've thought about it, but it feels selfish to share and insensitive to those who lose babies farther along. I think it's sad that she thinks it's insensitive to share because people lose babies further along. I think it's sad that she feels that way. Because, like, you have to think about it in her mind. She feels like she can't share it because other people go through harder situations. Because
somebody who has a baby, per se, like 20 weeks along, like the more weeks you have, I guess, by her logic, the more it invalidates your loss.
It doesn't.
But it doesn't.
It's still a loss.
Yeah, a loss is a loss is a loss. Now, we will say that there are different levels of loss and different levels of pain from the loss as well. I mean, you cannot compare a 6-week loss to a 30-week loss.
Well, you can't even compare like one loss to infertility and struggling and like constantly miscarrying and having that, just all those emotions and all that meant. That's completely different than,
you know, we had our lost 30-week stillborn son, but we don't know what it's like to be infertile. You know what I mean?
No.
Like, we don't really have an issue.
I can't even imagine.
Like, trying, but we don't know what it's like to experience that form of loss or struggle when it comes to infertility because we don't have that issue. It's all within the same realm, but like I said, there are different levels. Like I said, you can't compare a 6-week loss to a 30-week loss, even if they're the same. And again, not that it's not valid, it is still a loss, but comparing that to a 30-week pregnancy where you've already bought toys for your baby, where you found out the gender of your baby, where you've bought clothes for your baby, where you've named your baby, where you've had a baby shower probably by that point, and other things, and told maybe way more people.
Well, yeah, there's different levels of losses, or different levels, even from like 6 weeks. I think hers, she never really goes into detail here, but I think she said somewhere that it was like around 8 weeks. So there's a different level, you know, from 8 weeks to 13 weeks. But
Right.
yeah, anyways, like, I think it's sad that she thinks it's selfish to share and insensitive to those who lose babies further along. I think that's so sad. It's not insensitive. It's not selfish. You can share. That's the thing. With the stuff about Karen, all this stuff, sharing your infertility and miscarriage, like, struggles and all that, I think it's great. I think you should share. I think it helps people. I think it helps you. And I think it's a great thing to share. I also agree that you can keep it private as well. It just depends on what you want, you know? Miscarriage is the one thing in my life that has been private, and I liked it that way. That is her every right to keep it private.
Yep.
She liked it that way.
Yeah, and
That's okay.
like we said, you know, there's some who speak out and there's some who feel like they want to keep it private. And like I said, people said that Karen doesn't have to speak out against it if she doesn't want to. Because I was saying that she talks about a miscarriage, but she doesn't put out any actual information. But then she'll like make a video about something, like vlogging her miscarriage and having an infertility journey, but provide no information and actually put out harmful information to young girls.
Exactly. Also, we've said it before, I think it's sad that that is the one thing in her life that she's kept private.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's really sad that she will clickbait and highlight her children's pain, but she doesn't want to do the same with her own pain.
I know.
Kind of weird, man.
I know. I didn't want to take away from women who truly go through it. That's where it comes in. It's like the first little piece.
Yeah, it's like the same thing, but
it.
you did go through it, though. You did go through it.
Exactly.
Again, just because you were 8 weeks doesn't mean it invalidates you to somebody who lost one at 20. You know what I mean?
Well, and see, this is what makes me mad. Is just like people think that, oh, you're just making this shit up about Karen lying about miscarriages. No, we have proof of it.
Yeah.
Literally, they have so much proof all over their social media platforms. On every single one of them, there is proof.
Why don't they think I speak out against Colleen or Brianna Kay or Meg Lee or Kyra? They've all lost. Why haven't I done the same thing to them? It's because they don't have the concrete evidence against them to show that they're liars. So I'm not going to speak out against them.
They have more to show that they're telling the truth.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not going to speak out against someone who obviously is telling the truth. Karen has piles of lies. Piles.
And, you know, it's like, we don't hate Karen and Kwa. We don't like them, but we don't like Kyra either. And we're still like saying she didn't lie about a miscarriage, you know? And
yeah, exactly.
We're also saying she didn't make any insensitive comments here as well. I was under 10 weeks pregnant, and not to say how people should or shouldn't feel at any point of their pregnancy, but for me, when I see people lose their babies at 15 and 20 weeks, that is not the same feeling or same even subject like losing a baby at a couple weeks.
Like we said, she isn't wrong about that.
No, she's not wrong, but it's still like you were allowed to feel that.
You were allowed to feel sad. You're allowed to cry if you want to. You are valid, and your loss is there. You've experienced it, and just because somebody else had a further along pregnancy and they lost doesn't invalidate yours. Again, I will agree that there are different levels, and each week is a higher level. Absolutely.
You know, I also think that, because some people don't like it when people monetize their miscarriages or infertility and like that. I think there's a limit, but I also don't care. If that's your experience, and if you want to put it out there, and if you want to make money off of it, that's your experience. You can do that. Like I said, there's a way to do it without milking it. That's what we're saying also with Karen and Kwa, is that, like, they were milking it.
Dude, literally after a loss and during her infertility, she faked a pregnancy, claimed it as her own. Well, it was a real pregnancy, just wasn't hers. It was her friend's. Claimed it as her own. And I keep saying this, but it's a great point. And it was all during a pandemic too. But she did this after a loss.
And let's not forget, in January, she was clickbaiting using all this, why are they all positive or whatever? Using the blood test, like, blood results are in. Like, all that stuff was clickbaiting pregnancy.
Yeah.
When they clickbaited the claiming somebody else's pregnancy as their own, the reason they got so much shit for is because people had seen so much pregnancy clickbait from January to April, and they were done with it.
Yeah.
And guess what happened in April too after that clickbait thing? They started changing things up and saying that they were going to start trying for a baby. And then they started clickbaiting the miscarriage and infertility shit more.
Yep.
Not coincidental. They just couldn't use pregnancy anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
They couldn't use pregnancy in the title anymore. So they had to switch it up.
Well, especially after putting others at risk.
People are too dumb to figure that shit out.
Yeah.
Karen and Kwa, they're very scheming.
They're scammers. They're manipulators. They're pathological liars.
I lost hope and I lost confidence, and yes, technically I lost a baby, but I cannot relate to those who lose like that. That is more than Karen has ever shared.
And Karen's entire 2+ years, because it's been that long now, of her lying about all this stuff, just as one story from Kyra has said more about miscarriages than Keren has in that entire 2+ years.
That I lost hope, I lost confidence. Exactly.
Well,
That's
yeah,
it.
and Keren lost her 6-week pregnancy back in June 2020. Literally a couple of days later, she was doing handstands on the kick-ass TikTok. So much for that, bro.
And riding on jet skis too.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Partying with Taylor, getting drunk on a little mini yacht.
We're not idiots. It felt embarrassing to share and sit there and cry over something that I only had known for a minute. It's hard for women to share it because it's embarrassing. It doesn't matter how normal it will get in society about, like, you know, sharing your miscarriages. It still feels embarrassing. It feels embarrassing to have to take that shit back. It feels embarrassing to not be able to, like, keep that baby. It's a completely embarrassing situation. It shouldn't be. That's just where your mind goes.
Yeah, what Keren does. I told them.
Yeah, like she's smiling while every single time she talks about it, she's smiling. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, it's embarrassing to share and to sit down and make a video about it. I couldn't do that. Not now, because I don't feel embarrassed now. But, like, I think in the moment, though, I would feel, I guess, and I'm saying if I had a community, like if I told them and then, like, even if I didn't tell them, it would be embarrassing to sit there and talk about a miscarriage. Not because people would shit on you for it, but because it's just embarrassing.
Well, like I said, too, is that Keren, she told her community before she was even in her second trimester, which is really weird for her position, for her situation, for her circumstance. It's really weird.
And she does this whole thing in May where she's like, I don't want to get too excited. And then doesn't even get fucking checked out. And then the next month when she, quote, gets pregnant, she does a whole exciting announcement to Quad, which was so fake. I think if anything, I felt grateful because I know a ton of people who have lost 15+ weeks in or you've had stillbirths, and I was grateful my pregnancy had ended sooner rather than later. That's one of the things where it's like sad because she's like, I'm grateful it wasn't further along, but you can still be sad. Like, it's still sad that you lost that baby.
What she's saying is, though, is that she's grateful that it was a, 7-8 weeker and not a 20 weeker because it would have been much worse. She's aware that it does get worse. Not saying that she's not sad, but what she's saying is that she's aware that there's a difference.
Also, again, though, she's talking about her own situation, her own, like, miscarriage, her own experience. She's not talking about Keren's. Her and Keren weren't even involved with each other at this point. This is October 14th of 2021.
Yeah.
Weren't even involved with each other at this point. Not at all.
No.
She's not talking about anybody else but herself. She's allowed to say all this. This is her opinion, her feelings, her experience. She's allowed to do all this. She didn't even say anything insensitive. This is just how she feels.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. I was going to say, like, when we lost our son, at first, like, when we felt like right after we found out he was gone, I was mad and I was frustrated. And I said, why didn't it happen earlier? Because it was so unfair. Because you get to 30 weeks and you're like, you're so excited and you're like 10 weeks away, give or take or less. I was just like, why didn't it happen earlier? This is so unfair. Like, this would have been so much easier. Not hard, but it would have been so much easier to lose the baby earlier rather than later. Like I said, that was my first initial feeling. I was just like, it's so unfair. Why didn't it happen earlier? In the beginning, I was just in that pregnancy. I was like stressed because I wanted to get to that 12, 13 week mark. And I was just like, okay, once we get there, we'll be good. Now, that is not true, and I will never feel that way ever again. Later on, obviously, after having him and seeing him and holding him, stuff like that, I didn't feel that same way, but initially, that was how I felt.
Yeah, no, me too. Me too, when it happened, I was mad. You were automatically, like, sad and upset. Me, I was just pissed off and furious.
Yeah.
And then it switched.
Yeah.
So you were pissed off and furious, and then I was sad and upset.
Well, we had also had a really hard year too, so it wasn't just that. It was just everything on top of that. It was hard.
But adding on to, like, the differences between the weeks and losses and stuff, we also had to deal with Paige getting preeclampsia, which, having to be told by the doctor that she has to take this huge amount of magnesium because she could die during labor, and I'm like, or have a seizure. I'm just like, bro, this just keeps adding up.
Yeah, but like that's what I'm saying is like that's how I felt, and that's probably when I found out, and that's probably how she felt. She's like, well, at least it didn't happen later on. It's just the same thing, just vice versa. There's differences, but it's also so similar. To me, I didn't have a miscarriage. I just had a loss, and it wasn't the first time. I just had been the furthest along that time. That wasn't her first miscarriage.
Yeah, she's had multiple, which is crazy because, like, I didn't even realize it until we read this again.
Yeah, I know.
But
I didn't
that means she's had multiple and she's just kept it all private and personal, which, you know, probably means that they were like obviously earlier than probably this one, which is the roughly 8-week one. But she's kept them all a secret.
The whole point is that she's been through miscarriages.
Yeah.
But I thought everybody's feelings were valid. But not Kyra's, because it might upset Keren. Or it might have upset Keren. Let me tell you, it did not upset Keren.
No.
None of the comments that Keren got bothered her.
Nope.
Otherwise, like we said it before, they are well known for deleting comments and blocking people.
Big time.
Well known for it. And Keren is well known for deleting comments or going and stalking them and trying to threaten and contact their employers and shit.
While people are telling Kyra, somebody who has actually had a miscarriage, actually multiple miscarriages, by what she said, people are telling her that she's insensitive and being insensitive,
shouldn't feel that way.
and that she shouldn't feel the way because she might hurt Keren's feelings or whatever. Well, Keren is someone who has literally lied about miscarriages and infertility, but we should care about her. That's who you're worried about.
Her feelings are valid.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the second post because she must have been getting a lot of shit from Keren's little community because apparently somebody's feelings got hurt. Also want to clarify on my miscarriage post, anyone who does choose to share any point of their miscarriage is way justified too, and there's absolutely no judgment. I was just sharing why I choose not to share. I felt that it would have hurt my feeling rather than help. She made the whole why I chose not to share clear in that post. It's just people are sensitive.
Yeah, I don't get why people got so butthurt.
Because they're worried about Keren and her feelings. We don't think this had anything to do with why Keren unfollowed Kyra, because for one, this was in October, October 14th, 2021. So it was mid-October. I thought it was late October. Mid-October that she posted it, and Keren didn't unfollow her, and trust me, people are on top of that shit. We would have known in October if Keren unfollowed Kyra at that point. Keren didn't unfollow Kyra until like December or January. December 2021 or January 2022. Because that's when people noticed it, like immediately.
We'll also keep in mind that Keren and Kwa, I'll just say mainly Keren, didn't include okbaby in their like pregnancy friends announcement video.
Yeah. You know, you also have to realize they are friends with Oscar.
Yeah, and Oscar went back and forth to Florida.
Oscar went there literally immediately. So we also have to remember, Keren and Kwa know more about the breakup than we do. And they obviously will take a side. Oscar's who they are closest with, so they will take a side.
Kwa did unfollow Kyra recently as well, apparently.
That's what I was saying.
Okay.
I think that's mainly why. You know, because I think Keren already had a problem with Kyra, and I think after her and Oscar broke up, she's like, well, I don't have any ties to her now. I don't have any connection to her now. I don't have to follow her now. Her and Oscar are broken up, so I'm friends with Oscar, so I'm gonna unfollow Kyra.
Yeah.
It didn't have anything to do with this whole miscarriage stuff. It had to do with Kyra and Oscar's breakup, and Keren already having a problem with Kyra prior to that. Yeah. It didn't have anything to do with the miscarriage. Keren already had a problem with Kyra, and she just unfollowed her. 'Cause it was right after she found out about the breakup. Because they didn't break up until the end of December, so I guarantee Kwa knew almost immediately too.
Yeah. Anyways, all you jealous haters, that's about it. Well, let us know what you guys think down below. If you think we're right or wrong, we're willing to hear any opinion. Although, again, I don't think that Kyra was being insensitive to anyone. This is all based off her experience. Yeah. And her experience alone. She wasn't throwing shade at anyone. I think Keren unfollowed Kyra because their friendship went downhill. We do not know what happened behind the scenes, but we sure can speculate based upon content. But that's it, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye.
Bye.